Welcome back. Joining us on the show now is Siddhartha Rajagopal. He is Executive Director at the Cotton Textile Export Council. Mr. Rajagopal, hi, thank you so much for joining in. This is exactly what the industry had been asking for some time now. And now that you have a period of around 5 months with no import duty of that 11%, what is the immediate impact? What are the kind of imports that you are anticipating within this period to come in?
Thank you very much for having me on this show. Now, it's an important decision, which I think, as you rightly said, industry has been requesting because, and it has also come at the off season, as we say, in the sense that most of the cotton has now come out. And the gap that is there, for instance, the primary reason why this all came up is because there's a shortfall in production. Last 4 or 5 years, we've seen that somehow the cotton production that India has is unable to meet the demand, both the domestic demand as well as the demand arising out of exports. So now that this 4 or 5 month window has been given, hopefully we expect about 35 to 40 lakh bales of cotton to come in. And that will be something which is a requirement, primarily because there has been a shortfall in the domestic production. So hopefully this is a measure which will try to take care of the reduce the input costs, especially in the current geopolitical environment in which we are working. And it will also give relief to some of the targeted groups like apparels, the spinning sector, and also the SMEs, who are also dependent on buying the cotton. So overall, I think it will not have a major material impact because if you are producing about, let's say, 290 lakh bales, or 35 or 40 lakh bales out of that, which gets that because the consumption is to be expected around 328 to 330, even 340, because the demand continues to be there for cotton textile products. Therefore, it's not going to be a major import, but surely it's a relief in terms of the impact it will have to especially on the supply side. So it is basically a supply side measure, which will stabilize, in our view, the way the raw material is being sourced.
Oh, absolutely. Mr. Rajagopal, when I look at FY26, the numbers are not so great when it comes to exports, and the industry was also dealing with the US tariffs therein. Now, as we enter the new season, tariffs more or less are competitive with 11% duty gone. Would you say that exports for the new season, for the new year, perhaps are going to be positive?
So surely, with the 11% duty, which was a major impediment, because after all, you start with the raw material cost. In whatever production you do, the raw material cost is an important element. So therefore, the 11% was in a way, of course, coming in the way. But since you are a large cotton producing country in the world, you have to protect the farmers also. So that point is very well accepted. But then at the same time, when the shortfall takes place in production, you allow some imports, and this will have a competitive bearing on the prices. And hopefully, as we go forward in our export targets, and also the size of the industry that we are looking at, we will definitely get a very good support and traction. And primarily because even as we stand today, about 59 to 60% of our garments are cotton-based. So if that is going to lead the way. So therefore, it's important that this decision has come in at the right time. And it will surely balance the prices and without having a material impact on the cotton.
I get that. Mr. Rajagopal, as you mentioned, 59 to 60% of India's garment are still cotton-based. That's not the percentage or a ratio that we see in the international markets. What is it that is there in terms of synthetic or man-made fiber vis-a-vis cotton? How are you looking at India's ratio? And are you looking at a change coming in there?
So that point comes up every time when we have a discussion on the textile sector. You see, the world is moving at 70-30 and you're still 60-40. But the point here is that if you take the total cotton produced in India, almost 60% of that cotton finds its way in exports, whether as fiber, whether as yarns, whether as fabrics, or whether as garments. So technically speaking, the cotton component is largely export driven. So your cotton that is produced is largely going into exports. Now, when you have high cotton prices, and they compete in the domestic market, making it difficult to produce cotton, you have created, and obviously the demands of fashion, the domestic market is more oriented towards the man-made fiber.
Is it?
If you see almost the sort of allocations, you'll find the domestic market is almost 70 to 75% man-made fiber and 25% cotton. On the contrary, if you see this is about the Indian use of the fibers.
Okay.
India, 60% of cotton gets exported. So in a way, when we are dealing with the cotton, economy here, and the numbers that we have, our production, which is the second largest in the world, you are trying to say that the cotton is still export oriented.
Sure.
So, yes.
Mr. Rajagopal, I have one final question, and this one is on prices really, because when I compare January and May prices in sense of cotton, by the time we reached May, the cotton prices had gone up. Now with this 11% duty having gone away, would you think that there's going to be that impact on prices also? Are you looking at cotton prices coming off those kind of
There will be a
prices?
moderation, quite right. There will be, in fact, a correction, if I may say so, because currently even the Cotlook index was moving high, and Indian prices were also high. So now there has been a correction because the reports currently, as of today, they say that there have been good prospects of cotton grown in in United States. So there is a correction in the Cotlook index, and therefore there is a correction in India. And now 11% duty will perhaps bring the price on par with the international prices. So that is what the industry is looking for. Industry is looking for raw material at international price, and hopefully this, which was a protectionist measure and which is important. And nobody denies the fact that the farmers have to be protected. There is no doubt about that. But then you create a window when there is a shortfall in production. How do you meet that shortfall? And supply side economics tells you that the only way you meet it is try to allow some import. And this has been done across commodities, as you would have seen in your own, covering different commodities. So this is at that point in time, off season, relevant, when balance, the costs are, the prices will sort of stabilize and availability of cotton will also increase. So to that extent, we will move forward and overcome any shortages, scarcity, and the target that we have set for ourselves. They will surely get, to some extent, we'll be in a position to realize them. So that's my take on this.
Got it.
Okay, Mr. Rajagopal, as well as Manisha, thank you so much for taking us through that conversation move that was required by the industry in terms of import duty on cotton. So, right time that the move has come in at.